In my early career as a builder, I was a busy fool. I thought I was the best businessman. I thought I was super. I was flat out busy. I was jobs here, jobs there, vans going, man, money flying everywhere. But I wasn't making any money. So you're buying my time, which for me makes sense because it means that I have the luxury of being able to do the job properly.
What about you? And welcome to the Roots to Revenue podcast. This is the podcast where we talk to small business owners to find out about the challenges that they had to overcome to become a successful business. I'm Robbie.
I'm Jason, and in today's show, we're going to be asking the question, can you make money at small jobs?
Before we start into the show, let me just tell you about today's sponsor. The channel is sponsored by Jobber. Jobber is scheduling, invoicing and quoting software that I've used to run my own business for the last 10 years. Not only does it get me paid faster, but my customers also love it.
And today we have Stevie. Hi, Stevie.
Afternoon.
Afternoon.
How do you think about that?
Do you want to tell us a little about yourself?
I am Small Job Stevie. And as the name suggests, I'm Stevie. And I do small jobs. Quite simple, really. I'm not sure everyone in the building trade is known for their inventiveness and their, JHC contracts and SB contracts and stuff. So if we go backwards, I started out working as an architectural technician, a trainee, and I couldn't stick it. So I then went and worked in various builders merchants. I then went and worked for specialist building supply companies. At the same time, it was the 80s. You could afford to buy a house for the price of a car. I bought my first house when I was 16, but I didn't have any money to do anything. So I had to learn how to do different jobs around the house. I always had an interest in breaking things, putting them back together as a child.
I had an interest in breaking things. I wasn't so good at the other bit.
Yes, exactly. So that was always had an inquisitive mind, and I always wanted to know how things worked. This is, of course, way before the internet as well. Didn't exist back then, so it was word of mouth and chatting to people. So roll forward, I have my own house. I'm working in builders merchants, and I'm going to be honest, I wasn't a great employee. I struggled with bosses. I struggled with doing what I was told, and I always thought I knew better. So, not a great.
I can identify with all those as well.
Not a great CV for a secure employment. And back in 1999, I decided to go out on my own and see if I could literally just replace my wage. I had no dreams of becoming a massive firm or this, that, either. I just wanted to earn a wage and not have to deal with bosses and getting things wrong and getting shouted at and all the dramas that go with that. And then one thing led to another. I got into building extensions, renovations, doing bigger jobs, taking people on. And then I went right up to being property started to pick up at that time.
How many employees did you have at your type?
Probably, again, with the building trade, you tend not to have a lot of employees. Most of them would be subbies, and they'd be pretty constant. You have plumbers, joiners, electricians that come in as and when needed. But most small building firms, you'll find they'll have the guy that owns it.
Yep.
They'll have possibly a joiner and a good skilled labourer. And between the three of them, they can manage all the bits in between the different trades. And then you bring in bricklayers, plasters, electricians, whatever you need. So I think the most I probably had weekly would have been about 4.
Did Small Job Stevie, did that name just come from your friends, or
no?
Was that just something just?
It just came to me.
Yep.
I don't. Again, it's 7 years ago now. I can't pinpoint exactly when, but it was just it just seemed obvious.
A lot of the viewers that have just clicked on to watch this video, they're gonna want to know: can you make money at small jobs?
Yes, was a short answer. I think you can.
How do you advertise yourself whenever you're?
Well, I would be quite active on Google. I'm by no means a social media expert or an online expert. I would be quite active on Google. I have like 80 odd 5-star reviews. The next guy in my category maybe has 10 or 11, something like that. I post on the Google. So
would you ask for a review after you finished every job?
Yes, I send people a link mostly. I send them a link to my review page, and if they want to, if they have the time, if they feel it deserves it, then they'll go and leave me a review. So I'd be quite active there. So
Do you pay for any advertising?
I don't pay for any advertising. I used to advertise in the local shopper, which is a Belfast paper, and it's
like an ad. It's like an ad for free where the shopkeeper pays or the tradesman pays for an advert.
Yeah, and it's done by postcode, so it's relative to there'll be 3 or 4 postcodes in and around you.
I tend to go out because I used to advertise in something similar, and I tend to go out to 16 or 17,000 homes then around that.
Well, that was always good for the people that weren't internet savvy. There's always someone that's going to keep that in a drawer.
Yeah.
And where that works for people, I think, is I'll stick it in a drawer and I know where that is if I need it. I think the mistake a lot of small businesses make is they think that, I'll go and advertise once or twice in this local paper, whatever, and they'll come. The leads will come flying in. It doesn't work like that. You need to. It's a slow build up. People have to be aware of you.
They have to see you.
They have to know where to find you when they need you, and you can only do that by consistently doing that.
They reckon about 7 times somebody needs to see an advert or see your name 7 times a lot of time before they'll even go. Oh, I remember that
before it registers that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, I was doing local shopping for quite a while, and then I suppose like everyone, COVID had a massive impact. You know, that didn't happen, everything, and then I never really got back into the habit. I mean, I suppose even sort of people that aren't that savvy, internet savvy, still will get a phone out and do a Google search. And if you Google search Handyman in Belfast, and only Belfast because I don't travel.
How far do you travel, Stevie?
I'm lucky enough to be in the position that I
just give yourself a wee plug. What parts of Belfast do you cover?
Just the greater Belfast area. I do north, south, east, and west, but I don't leave Belfast, which is a bit of a standing joke with my friends. I don't need to. Ultimately, I have the luxury of having enough work that I can afford to just work realistically from probably about a 3-mile radius. And because I live in Belfast, obviously the density of population lends itself. The further out in the country you live, then the more obviously you have
travelling between each job.
Yeah.
I mean, work we carry for my viewers that don't know. I carry out lawn treatments day to day, and we just really target Belfast, and that's just really where we work, and then just sort of push slightly out from Belfast because it's nice. Whenever you have that density, then you don't have to. You're not travelling. You're not paying those unbillable hours.
Well, that's also the problem for me because I'm only going to get paid when I'm in someone's house working. I don't get paid to drive there. I would book my jobs in geographically in parts of Belfast. I would cover maybe Dundonald one day, maybe North Belfast another day, maybe South Belfast another day. So because it's a low value, I don't travel. I don't spend my day travelling about.
The most people that come on the podcast aren't really that happy about talking about their prices, but your prices are pretty clearly labelled on your.
Yes.
And it's an important part of the podcast.
Yes.
Like, how do you make money at small jobs? So,
yes.
Do you want to tell the viewers just sort of how that works and how you...
Well, I charge £60 for the first hour, and then £30 per after that. So you're buying my time, which for me makes sense because it means that I have the luxury of being able to do the job properly. I haven't underpriced a job. I'm not panicking because I'm not making any money and I want to get away from the job. So if a job takes me 1 hour, you pay for 1 hour. If it takes me 4, you pay for 4. Now, obviously, that doesn't suit everyone. Some people want to have a fixed price.
Yeah.
But because of the nature of what I do, it's very difficult sometimes to price stuff because it's never that simple. And I'm often maybe in someone's house doing a bit of joinery, doing a bit of basic DIY hanging shelves or TV brackets, or maybe I'm doing a bit of tiling. So there's always a variety of jobs as well, which is, even though I've been doing this for almost 30 years now, it's still difficult to actually pinpoint that'll take me 1, 2, 3 hours.
And as well, whenever you're there, people can say, "Oh, can you just do this wee thing as well while you're here?"
That's fine. You pay me if it's an extra hour. And I've many's a time I have a customer say, "You're one of the most patient tradesmen," and I know exactly why that is. Because when I'm there, I'm thinking you can change your idea, so you can change your mind as much as you want because you're paying me to be here. We can stand and look at that wall for 15 minutes. That's fine. That's no problem.
Unlike, because all my work's quoted, so
yes,
it's in my interest to get that job done
yes,
and out that door as quickly as I can,
yeah.
within reason. So,
Again, whenever I was doing bigger building work, of course that was different. You know, it's relative to the market that I am in. Whenever I was a builder, I was obviously quoting to take walls down or to do roof space conversions. That had to be a fixed price. But what I do now, it suits well. Sometimes it's really good value. Sometimes it's the opposite for me.
I think, to be honest with you, in today's market, I think it is very good value, and as well, the amount of skills that you're bringing to someone, if they were having to get two other, like a lot of tradesmen wouldn't necessarily do, or
yes,
like a spark wouldn't do what a plumber does, or
yes, of course,
and then they're getting one person that can do a broad range of things instead of having to get two or three different tradesmen in and then paying two or three visits.
Well, it's difficult enough to get one trade into your house. I'm sure any of the viewers or anybody that's tried to get someone.
I recently tried to get a spark, and they were as rare as hen's teeth.
Yeah, I would come in and I could change your taps, I can change your light, I can hang your door, I can do those different jobs. It's one phone call, it's one person, and you're getting a multitude of things done that you've been saving up and you've been trying to find someone. I think as well what I do is also a mindset. You have to have the mentality to do that. Lots of trades guys want to go to a job, get their tools out of the van, set up for the day, work all day, and go home.
Yeah,
I could do anywhere between 1 and 4 jobs a day, and I could have my plumbing tools out. I could have chop saw. I could have all the different tools out in and out of the van. So you have to have that mentality to be able to do that. I think. You know, as much as skill
as well. You have to be prepared to do. You do a lot of different tasks.
Yes.
There's a lot of different skills there, and I suppose a lot of people would say to you as well, sure, Stevie, it's just a wee small job. That'll not take you long. Not looking to pay you too much.
Yeah.
That's just a wee small job, because I know myself, if a customer tries to set the price, you're like, hold on a wee second here, just calm down, because they're not taking into account the time and experience you've learnt to be able to do that job.
That is something that you have to be resolute. You have to be completely convinced of your own value first and foremost. When someone says to me, "Oh, I could do it myself, but I haven't got time," or they can't. 9 times out of 10, they can't do it themselves. You know, they don't have the skills, they don't have the tools, they don't have the confidence, they don't have the experience. It seems like everything. It seems like it's only a small job. Like there's a phrase, I have a pair of scissors, but it doesn't make me a hairdresser. Do you know what I mean? If you have a tool, it doesn't mean you know how to use it. Doesn't mean that you can, somebody bought you a drill for Christmas and you've never used it, it's still got the plastic on it. So you have to take value in whatever industry you're in, whatever trade or whatever.
Well, a lot of people would say, sir, you're only cutting the grass, or you're only cutting the hedge.
I've got a lawnmower.
I've got a lawnmower, I can do that.
Can it be? Yeah. You got to take into account, you're also paying, like if you go to a dentist or you go to another professional, you're paying for their skill, their knowledge. You're also paying for the experience that they know what to do when it goes wrong. And that's a big thing.
You're not judging the work you do, but you're judging them whenever something goes wrong, putting whatever it is right.
Fixing it,
that's
you only get that with experience of breaking things. And I've been breaking things for a lifetime now. So you have to be convinced of your own value first and foremost, and you have to not let someone devalue what you do. I have a van and it is stocked with plumbing tools, joinery tools, electrical tools. It has taken me many years and a lot of money to build up. I turn up to your house and I get in and I get the job done efficiently, quickly. And if you look at all my reviews, you can see that I do take a bit of pride in what I do. I do take maybe the slower way sometimes, but I know it's the best way and the job is going to be done.
The fastest way and the best way don't usually go hand in hand.
Well, it's that old thing. You can have good, cheap, and good, cheap. There's 3 of them.
The one I know is you can have it right, you can have it now, but you can't have it right now.
Right. There's another phrase that'll come to me. I think that you have to have the confidence in what you're bringing. If someone wants something put up on their wall, they need to have a drill, they need to have a screw gun, they need to have fixings, they need to have the confidence they're not going to hit a pipe or they're not going to hit a cable. Then they're going to have to do, and if they don't have that, they need to buy it. Or they employ someone who comes in and does the job in a half an hour. But the fact that you can do that job in a half an hour doesn't mean that you're cheap It means it's taken you 10, 15, 20 years
And it's
to
having
learn.
it's having all the tools to turn up and do it.
Yes,
efficiently.
The right tools for the right job.
exactly. And having that. I think the problem with a lot of people that think about small jobs, there's no money in that. Well, that's your fault for not charging. Because it's a small job, people go, sure, it'll only be a job. Sure, give us 20 quid. Well, you can't run a business on £20.
No.
You know what I mean?
By the time you drive to it, yep.
You can do a favour for your mate for 20 quid and you can go buy a few beers, that's fine. But if you're running a van, diesel, insurance, you've got any sort of insurance, you've got any sort of I rent a workshop and all the other costs. I spend 30 to £40 a week in screw fix on screws and glues and sprays and things that are obviously part of my costs. So 20 quid here and 20 quid there ain't going to cut the mustard.
No.
And in my travels on different jobs, there's been different guys in. And I've met other guys that have moved on to kitchen fitting or building IKEA furniture. We've had the conversation. They've said to me, I used to do what you do, but I couldn't make any money. And I would always say, well, whose fault's that then? It's not, you tell your customer how much something's going to cost, and then they make the decision whether it's the value to them or not. So if you're telling them that it's 20 quid here and 20 quid there, because you think, sure, just pop in, I'll just nip in and I'll do it. That's you're the problem there.
What would your ideal client be?
I don't know if I have an ideal client. Someone who has normal milk, right? Because it's a bit of a bugbear nowadays. You go to people's houses. Sorry, I've only got herbal tea. I've only got this. I've only got that. Someone who has normal tea, proper builder's tea, and normal cow milk. Doesn't need to be soya. Doesn't need to be oat. Doesn't need to be plant-based. Just normal milk. Normal tea. I do like a cup of tea when I'm working.
I'm all about a chocolate biscuit. Is that a must? Or?
Unfortunately, I have too many chocolate biscuits. I'm trying my best to...
The balcony overlooking the toy shop.
My wife keeps threatening to get me a T-shirt, do not feed the builder, on it, so that when I take my hoodie off, they can see that. I suppose it's an ideal job, not an ideal customer. My customers range from young 20-year-olds that have just bought their first apartment to I have a lovely customer in her 80s. She has more energy than me. She's better looking than me. She's younger looking than me. And she lives near Stormont and she walks up, which is quite a big hill for those people that don't know. It's a huge big hill. She walks up about 3 times a week. I couldn't even get halfway up without having a small stroke or a mini heart attack. So my customer base is very, very varied.
So it's not the customer you go for, it's the
job more than the customer, really, I suppose. I get single women, single men, young men, older men. It's such a wide range. I couldn't say that I have a typical customer, to be honest.
I know in business it's not always success. Has there been any downfalls or mistakes?
In my early career as a builder, I was a busy fool. I thought I was the best businessman. I thought I was super. I was flat out busy. I was jobs here, jobs there, vans going, man, money flying everywhere. But I wasn't making any money. I was losing money.
Yeah, the end of the year. You
didn't have anything to show for it because, at the end of the week or the month, you've paid your bills, you've made your way. You want to look at something and go, all right, I've done 50 hours this week. At least I've got some money to show for it. At least I feel like I'm making progress. And in those days, I was underpricing stuff. I was struggling to manage the admin of the business because you're no longer really a builder. You've got all the other. And whenever you're small like that, you can't afford a bookkeeper. You can't afford someone to do all your admin for you. So you have to try and do...
One of the best bits of advice I got as being self-employed and starting up, if you can't make enough Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, you're not charging enough.
Yes. But I also think that whenever you become self-employed, there is a hurdle and an obstacle of, that sounds a bit dear. That sounds a bit expensive. I'm not going to get that work. You don't have, maybe it's a confidence thing, an experience thing. You don't have the confidence to go, that job is X amount of pounds. If I don't get it, I'm not going to worry about it. So you probably go in and you're working it all out. You're going, my goodness, that job's going to be £1,000. It's a lot of money. That's not a lot of work for that. And then you start to doubt yourself. And again, back in the day when I used to price work and do bigger stuff, you'd be pricing something, go, there's no way they're going to pay that. I'll maybe trim a bit off. And you're trimming something off that was already a tight job anyway. And as you know, when you work for yourself, there's always has to be contingency because
Whenever you're poor, it's very easy to think that everyone else is poor. Whenever that's
Yes.
not the case,
exactly.
and that's whenever you price jobs too cheap.
Then you
'Cause
have to learn.
you have that mindset.
But then you have to reframe. I think you have to reframe your business, and you have to sell on your quality. You have to sell on your service. I'm the top rated handyman on Google in the Belfast area. I will turn up when I'm supposed to. And if you look at my reviews, you can see I have evidence that I will do a good job. I'll stay until the job's done and make sure it's 100%. And if it's not, I'll sort it out.
Well, listen, Stevie, thank you very much for coming on to the podcast. And
You're very welcome. It's good to be here. Jason, you too.
good
see
man,
you.
thank you.
Don't forget about the link, www.premierlawns.link/jobber, where you can get 40% off your first 3 months, and this really helps the channel.